Oh, so welcome everybody. Sorry, I just had to get a couple last minute things set up there. Hopefully, you're all having a fantastic day. If I could just get a quick audio visual check. Thank you all so much for joining me this fine evening. If I could just. No, I was just away for a couple seconds there. Hopefully, you guys can hear me now. Quick audio visual check just to make sure here before I get started. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, most importantly, guys, how is everyone doing today? Audio's good now. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, sorry. I was just in a rush to get this stream set up here. I had a couple things that I was doing around the house, but I ended up taking a bit of a long position. So I figured, you know what? I may as well get into a stream here. Yeah, hopefully you're all doing fantastic. Pretty exciting stuff with the election bringing in that long awaited breakout for Bitcoin. You guys know I had my invalidations very clearly. Yes, I was leaning bearish for months. I was totally okay playing that trend until it ended. Now I feel much different about the market. You know, we got a very nice breakout. Yes, today I have actually been scalping both directions a little bit, just on 1 minute structure kind of a thing. But I'm very quick to close my scalps short at this point. I am more so favoring the long side of things. I'm actually in a long right now. It could get stopped. The rest of it could get stopped out. I did close a quarter of it just to reduce my risk, just like a typical Stuber setup. Get into that in a second here. But yeah, honestly, I think Bitcoin's in a great place now. I do just want to kind of watch some 1 minute charts, watch some structure develop here, see if my MDX algo indicators catch my attention with anything. And that's one thing that I want to talk about right away that is actually catching my attention a little bit. Just possibly a bit of an early warning sign is all, just for, again, even when I say a warning sign, it's not that I think the trend is in a bad place. It's just we might see a little bit of a pullback going into the evening or overnight or whatever. But we'll have to see. But yeah, obviously I'll be taking a look at some other time frames as well. But I do also just want to kind of zoom right in on things and take a look at this volatility while we got it here. So if you do appreciate these live streams, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe to the channel as well. I have my own socials down below. Give me a follow there as well. Yeah, guys, bring up the vibes. Bitcoin price is pumping, so let's pump that thumb. And with that, let's kind of hop into what I'm seeing here right now. The 1 minute chart is starting to concern me a little bit. I did end up taking this long position here though. And you know what? Like I said, I ended up closing a quarter of it just because this is a scalp. I'm treating it for what it is. Honestly, I was debating even setting my stop loss at break even, but I am entering this position because it's something that caught my eye on the 5 minute. I really just zoomed into the 1 minute. And if this trend is going to continue, I expect this to kind of be where we find support. And this trend has been playing out beautifully throughout the day here. But of course, all trends come to an end. So basically what I noticed on the 5 minute chart is we had a classic, you know, just as far as this trend goes, we had another high, higher high. Here's my confirmed higher low on the 5 minute. And that's how structure is right now. So I'd made a box this whole candle before we ended up getting our reversal there. It's just kind of our order block here on the 5 minute. So I basically, from there, I zoomed into the 1 minute, right? And as we came down into this pocket here, we end up breaking a very micro trend on the 1 minute. And that's where I have my Fibonacci pulled, right? Just like that Stuber fib technique I always teach, or I always show on these streams. Basically, we had this very immediate reversal on the 1 minute, pull back down after breaking that structure, pulling back down to the 786. I ended up taking a bit of a long. Just like any Stuber fib setup, yes, this is a small range, but if that's the range I pulled, that's the one that I'm going to be playing here. So like I said, just to reduce my risk, if nothing else, I closed a quarter of it at my 214 fib because that's how I always trade these fib setups, right? So now, even if it does get stopped out, yes, I would still end up taking a bit of a loss, but at least I paid myself a little bit up here, which will soften the blow if the rest does get invalidated, right? But what I'm also watching for on the 1 minute chart, and this is something that has me a little bit concerned, is if I bring up the ALGO master indicator, just notice today, like I was saying, how beautifully it was trending to the upside. I always talk about this. When we end up getting this reversal of these signals, you know, we had lower trending sells right here, for example, and then we end up setting a higher sell, a higher buy, and look how beautiful of a trend that turned into. From there, we just end up higher sell, higher sell, higher sell, higher buy, higher buy, higher buy. So just a beautiful trend that has been intact. This is the part that does concern me right now, is that we are getting this warning sign, right? We do have these signals on the 1 minute starting to reverse here. And that is going against the position that I currently have open there. So that is one thing that's concerning me with this. But just since I do like structure first, and I like this as a second opinion, and since invalidation of this double bottom territory on the 5 minute like this, just since it is such a tight invalidation, I'm going to stick with the long setup there. And like I said, I already reduced my risk a little bit. But as far as looking at this, like it is tempting for me to pull a short right now, just based on these indicators. I'm just not favoring the short side as much as I have been in previous streams, just because, you know, we have had this nice breakout. If I bring up the daily chart here, you'll know this is the thing that I was talking about during the election. I said the last little concern that I have with Bitcoin yet, and it's not even that I was bearish at that point. It's just that I was willing to be, you know, just a little bit cautious as we approach this level, is that we had this beautiful double top, just perfect double top with this massive bearish divergence down here. Obviously, it doesn't have to play out. And the fact that we ended up breaking through that level, you know what? That was the last concern I had basically from here. I mean, yes, we've broke all-time highs. There is some other, you know, random diagonal trend lines I can look from, you know, on the weekly and stuff like that. And yes, maybe this is going to be some sort of a swing fail and we get rejected here. But honestly, this daily chart looks so strong. And I was talking about this green box in yesterday's stream, that it was fantastic that we ended up closing a daily green candle holding support of my order block here on the daily. That held on absolutely beautifully. And my reasoning for that, again, was same thing, right? High, higher high, confirmed higher low. As long as we held this green box, I mean, this trend was still intact. And now we obviously have a new one, right? We have a higher high. We have now set a higher high. Now we have a new confirmed higher low. So I'm actually going to change this very slightly. I'm going to get rid of that box. And this is actually the box now that I do not want to see the bulls lose, basically. On the daily chart, I do not want to see the bulls lose basically 66.8K. I think at that point, you know, we're losing this immediate trend here on the daily, and that could result in a bigger pullback, you know, maybe even pulling back to a bigger range, something like that, right? Do I think it's likely at this point? No, not really. It's just something to pay attention to if we start losing some important levels, right? On the 4 hour, there's also this concern that I would have is if we lose this red box. So that was basically my double top territory on the daily chart. And zooming into the 4 hour, it would basically be the same thing, right? After we broke that resistance, we set a higher high and another higher high, confirming a new higher low up here. Basically, if we end up losing 72.6 on the 4 hour, that would just be a little bit concerning that, you know, at that point, maybe we're coming back down to test this support, that green box that I had just outlined. And then we really hope that that holds, because otherwise the trend could turn ugly very quickly again, right? But as it looks right now, I mean, things look beautiful in my opinion. Even bringing up, I know this is something I was watching, was ALGO Master. We had this sell signal. We did end up breaking that as well. Obviously, the weekly candle hasn't closed yet, but it looks like it's curling to the upside. You know, we print a higher buy signal, and it is it's off to the races, in my opinion. Although, I mean, back here, obviously, this kind of failed. Well, we did get another move to the upside, but yeah, just basically all the concerns that I did have were basically invalidated at this point. So, like I said, I would really like to see us print a higher buy signal here. I do like that with our volume bands here with this buy signal, we did have a little bit of green filling in this band down here, whereas with the sell so far, we don't have any serious sell volume stepping in like we did back here even. So, you know, I'm still hoping that we end up finding support, blast through this sell signal, because it is concerning, you know, when they start trending like this in one direction. Just like I pointed out back here, right? When we started trending to the upside, I mean, it's very possible it does the exact same thing to the downside. But as long as we're holding this 5-minute structure, I just don't want to flip too bearish yet. Like I said, looking at structure first, high, higher low. So until we lose that, at that point, yeah, maybe I'll start trying to place some sells to the downside if we get some new lower sell signals on the 1 minute and stuff like that. But right now, I'm just, I think shorting right now is just a little bit dangerous, right? Because there's so much momentum to the upside with the election last night. So how is everyone else feeling on the market? We want a bull stew, not a bear one. Yeah, I feel like bearish stew is in hibernation for a little while. I just am more of a shorter time frame trader, so I always am playing it cautiously either way. Like even if I'm bullish right now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to take a couple scalps short tomorrow or something like that, right? It's basically wherever I see a potential setup. Just with tight invalidations, just like this one, right? Yeah, absolutely. It may get invalidated and I take a little loss. But like I said, already downsized my risk a little bit. Just because, again, I just see this as a little bit of a warning. I was really debating closing my entire position and just waiting until we printed a higher buy signal, just to give a little confirmation there that we are trending back to the upside. So, but again, with 5-minute support here, I'm just going to play structure first. Another little bit of a warning is just that since we're testing the Stuber fib a second time, really I always have most confidence in the first test, which is why basically, you know, we had this structure break here, pulled back to the 786, took my long and ended up downsizing position at my first target, just because, you know, I kind of consider it first move advantage, that just so often there is at least some sort of a reaction off those fibs. And then, you know, when you start testing it more and more, it's just more likely that it's showing a bit of weakness, right? Whereas I would really like to see that initial pop off that level and get an instant reaction kind of a thing. So that's just another thing to be a little bit cautious of, especially with the current conditions of the market. I'd really like to see it take off sooner than later. That's true. We don't quite have a confirmed close on the daily yet. I mean, I'm going to consider this will be a close higher in what, 14 minutes, 13 minutes. So yeah, technically we could still lose that, just have a big liquidity grab here and just nuke to the downside in the next little bit. That would be wild. But then, yeah, even tomorrow, like I would like to see a second candle hold this level as well, just to kind of confirm that we're flipping basically this resistance into support. I would really like to see that tomorrow. But like, even if we drop this level tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily mean we're bearish, but then there's just a bigger chance that we're pulling back to test this higher low support, right? Whereas if we can hold it for another day, I think it's more likely that we're just, you know, going to flip that resistance into support right away and avoid the bigger pullback. Both not, I mean, either way, I still think we're in a good place. If we end up losing this green box, like I said, down around 66.8K, we lose that as support, then yeah, I'm going to have some concerns again. But I would still say the structure is bullish. It's just that we could have a pullback significantly deeper. It would actually be lovely to see, if we ended up doing something like this and then shooting back down to our Stuber fibs like that. Because at that point, before, when we were trading up here, and I was talking about the fact that if we drop down to those fibs, yes, there's a chance that we treat it as support, but it wasn't actually a confirmed Stuber fib because it doesn't have the structure break first. Whereas now that we've set a higher high from our range highs way back here, that just confirms that even if we pull back to the downside, I'd be looking at setting more so a higher low as well. Here, I want to get some tunes going here. Let's get some chill tunes going. Let me know if they're too loud or annoying or anything. Maybe I'm the annoying one. Maybe you just want to watch the charts in silence with some tunes. But yeah, how are you all feeling on the market? Anyone in it? Perfect head and shoulders at the top on the 30 and the 15 and all the way down. I want to check the 15. I see what you're seeing. I don't know if I'd call it perfect though. We kind of have, but I don't know. I think if that was going to carry some weight, we would have broke down and then retested something like that a little quicker. I guess it depends, right? I mean, a lot of people love head and shoulders. I personally like horizontal levels more, and Fibonacci's. I personally don't trade head and shoulders much, so I've never actually done any back testing with them. I don't have a specific set of rules for them or anything. So for me, I see what you're seeing, but I'm still more concerned with the whole, even on the 15, the higher high, confirmed higher low. And so far, we're still holding that, right? If we end up losing that higher low structure, then yeah, I think it's very possible that head and shoulders measured move would play out. Just like on the 5-minute, I feel like if it was going to play out, it was going to be something like this. Whereas I feel like it's kind of gone on too long, right? It's got a few shoulders or a couple growths coming out of it. But again, I'm not a head and shoulders guy. So like if you have a set of rules that you have back tested and you like trading with them, then yeah, that's the thing, right? We could all have the same trend lines, the same indicators, absolutely everything the same. And I guarantee we would trade completely different. So I'm actually, this big green box is distracting. So I am just going to make a support line. Yeah, I really want to see a higher buy signal come into play. It's definitely teetering on an edge right now. I should probably be sitting on my hands right now, waiting for a confirmed direction with this indicator. But it's It's just that the invalidation's so tight, right? Like I said, with that 5 minute, I mean, for how close my stop loss is down here, if we end up carrying the trend to the upside of setting more higher highs, I mean, risk reward, right? The size of the win versus the size of the loss. Struggling though. Just curious, was anybody in here in my stream yesterday? Because I was talking about this Stuber setup on Ethereum on the 4 hour, and man, did that ever just blast to the target. I think during the stream we were trading somewhere around here. I can't remember exactly where we were, but we were basically just bouncing off the 786 here. And I had mentioned that, hey, well, I mean, our first target's way up here, and just blasted through that. And that's just that same structure, right? We have our high, higher high, confirmed higher low. I pull my fib. Perfect 786, 886 fib fill there, and straight to the 214. Beautiful Stuber setup there on the 4 hour. I want to check out Solana. Somebody just requested that. Let me just start with the clean chart. I haven't looked at Solana for a little while. Let's start on the daily. See if I can find any random. Oh, that's a beautiful. Oh yeah. You guys know I mostly like horizontal levels, but I also do like diagonal trend lines if they meet my specific criteria. And one of those criteria is having 3 exact touch points. I like using exact wicks. Hopefully you can see that on your end as well. But yeah, I like exact wick touches. I don't do the average. I don't do the candle body. I like the exact wicks. And that's 3 perfect touch points. And it looks like in under 5 minutes, we're going to close above that. So that could be a nice breakout there. Especially if it can, you know, have a little bounce, come back and flip it into support, resistance into support. Then I think that's a beautiful setup there for a breakout. One thing to watch for would obviously be if we end up dropping back down and retesting that as resistance again, then I think it's possible that we come back and retest this support down here. I still don't think it would be in bad shape. I think it would just take another run. But that would be basically on this immediate trend here. That green box is my higher low support right now on the daily. So that's a big trend line break right there. And just notice that the 4 hour was hugging it, right? For several candles. So it is trying to hold that resistance as support. And I mean, that, like I said, that could not be more accurate. Pinpoint. But yeah, like I said, we end up dropping that level and kind of losing this support we've been trying to create here. Then yeah, absolutely. I think there's potential for a pullback back down towards, you know, 165 down to 155. But that's only if we lose this support kind of around 180. Either way, I think it's in a good place. There just might be a pullback, right? Markets don't move one direction. A nice higher buy signal as well. So we would also have support coming up to the price as well. We've had upward trending buy signals since, where would have this been? We got this higher trending buy signal at $142. So that's why I love this. Like, even for spot accumulation or anything, that's where I love using these MDX algo indicators, is just looking for that that possible shift in trend, right? Because back here we obviously, well, we were basically setting lower sell signals, lower buy. We got a higher buy, but we never switched both. I guess where we finally switched both, we would have got this higher sell signal and this higher buy signal, and that would have, well, been around $144, right? So absolutely beautiful when the trend starts to shift like that. This buy signal obviously printed after a big move. So yeah, it's absolutely possible we come back and test that trend. But yeah, looking beautiful, just having the indicators confirm that. It looks like we're in a very obvious uptrend there, right? Oh, come on, bulls, step back in. Let's go. We've been waiting so long for all-time highs. Just keep pushing. Why stop now? Blow off top short 100x. I'd be a little nervous to do a 100x short right now unless I was keeping my stop loss nice and tight, which honestly right now with these signals trending to the downside, you know, we absolutely could take a dump here. But getting bored. I mean, we're here to watch the 1 minute. Sometimes trades take a while to play out. Thanks for joining, Ghost. Yeah, I don't know how long I'll be streaming. I was just figuring that, hey, if we are going to find support, we should be finding support relatively soon here. But we lose this support and we keep trending these signals to the downside, then I'm going to have to, then at that point, I'm going to wait until we print a higher sell signal, higher buy signal, look for a Stuber setup, and try and get into a new long into the market that way. Because I am still going to be favoring the long side for now. Even if this one gets stopped out, then I might just have to pump the brakes and wait a while. You know, it's been a fun trend today. I've taken many scalps today. I've probably been in 6 or 7 trades today throughout this trend. All trends come to an end, right? Even on the 5 minute, just to kind of show you how I look at this market structure here. Let's just say as we were uptrending here, right? High, higher low confirmed, higher low confirmed, higher low confirmed. So until that trend breaks, at that point, I wouldn't mind, you know, possibly looking for some shorts, looking at, you know, if we lose this support, let's say even look for some sort of a fib and look at maybe we'd get some sort of a short opportunity up there, for example, even if it's just a scalp, right? But until we get something like that, until we lose this green line, that 5 minute support, not really interested in shorting right now. Really, that's even still my higher low on the 1 minute. Because this was our high. This was our higher high. That's the confirmed higher low. We have not broke this higher low, and we have not broke this higher high. So we are still in that same range, even on the 1 minute. Yes, there's mini ranges inside that range, but it is what it is. Someone needs to block someone. And yeah, honestly, if what I'm telling is for newbies, honestly, a lot of people don't understand market structure. And honestly, I think keeping it simple is best for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who just kind of listen to what big influencers say. And honestly, you should have a pretty good understanding of just basic market structure, right? It's very important. I love keeping my strategies simple. Simple strategies for a simple guy. Buying higher low support, selling lower high resistance. Do I think it will drop below 75,000? Honestly, it totally depends. Yeah, if we end up dropping this higher low support on the 5 minute, yeah, it's absolutely possible that we end up taking a bigger correction, but we're just going to have to see what structure does along the way, right? If we end up setting lower lows, confirming lower highs, and then all of a sudden we break that trend, well, then you know what? Then maybe the bottom's in again. Oh, thanks, Zeus. Yeah, the algos I use are MDX algo master indicator in this case. And honestly, it's kind of looking like I should have, you know, this is a perfect example of where I should be paying attention to that more, because, you know, this would have been absolutely a perfect short entry, even just for a scalp. The indicators may have beat me on this one. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's better to not overcomplicate things. Just looking at basic structure and taking those, you know, those setups where obviously you have a much bigger win than loss, and that's where, you know, break a there, for example. You know what? Rest of my position stopped out. That's totally fine. It was only 3/4 left, anyways. So yes, it ended up taking a small loss. But if this trend was going to continue like it has been all day, you know, this has been a beautiful trend to the upside. Now I'm going to be hands off until we end up printing some sort of a higher buy and higher sell signals, just to kind of confirm, even on the 1 minute, that the trend is going to be reversing. Like, you know, if now at this point we end up breaking some structure, we print a higher buy, we end up getting a pullback, we end up printing a higher sell followed by a higher buy. At that point, I'm looking at, hey, you know, time to start looking for bullish setups again. That's where I can start looking for Fibonacci pulls with structure breaks and stuff like that, right? But right now, I want to be hands off just because I see also that we're starting to see some sell volume stepping in here. So I'm not as interested in playing the short side of things right now, but yeah, I want to wait until there's some sort of further confirmation to the upside again. And that's where, you know, if I was just trying to blindly long right now and the trend just keeps falling and I just continue to keep trying to catch the knife, that's where this indicator is going to save me. And just as far as risk management, right? Not even necessarily taking an entry based off these signals, but just letting me know when I should cool my jets a little bit. And right now, since it's looking like, hey, there's at least potential that that downtrend is going to continue, we've had an actual higher low that lost structure now on the 5 minute. I don't think we're bearish, but I think it's very likely that we do pull back a little bit yet. Especially when things are this volatile, like a lot of people, especially when people trade, you know, the 1 minute and the 5 minute stuff, a lot of people end up over trading big time, right? And since we're losing that structure and things are trending to the downside with these signals, I just want to be hands off for a little bit. I still want to be playing the long side. I just don't think it's time to hop right back in yet. Because like I said, even on the daily chart here, I mean, it would make perfect sense if we do see some sort of a pullback. You know, if we start ending up finding support down in this old resistance here, kind of between 73.8 down towards 73. I mean, I think there's absolutely a possibility we get a nice bounce from there. Yeah, Zeus, I agree. I'm a little gun shy on the shorts right now. That's why I'm just waiting this out right now. Like, even if we just break back above this, who knows? The Bulls might take the reins again. Really depends how FOMO is right now, right? Like, that might even be enough of a break to see us just get back up here and start pumping again. Like, again, for a very tight invalidation type of setup. That's only a little better than a 1-to-1. That's not even that great, unless you can kind of get in on a little bit of a pullback here. But again, if it is going to reverse the whole trend, I mean, then that could be a nice one. You know, I might ladder in a little bit of a long again. Nah, I'm waiting it out. But once they start trending to the upside again, I'm going to be trying to get into a long again, because I think there is going to be some momentum behind this market. I'm thinking I would assume for a few months at least. I still do think at some point next year we end up seeing the actual bear market kick in, but that's a far away from now. I am not looking at like, oh, I got to catch a short right now. Nothing like that. go short on BTC until 75.1. Honestly, I agree with you that it's very likely we end up getting down there. Just playing the short off here down a little bit. I'm just a little gun shy on the shorts right now. But yeah, I mean, this is the resistance level currently as far as the ALGO is concerned. We never saw a ton of sell volume come in on the bands here, on the Keltner bands, but I mean, there definitely is some. Yeah, where can we start looking for support? Let's check out even the 1 hour. 1 hour, we could pull all the way back down to this buy trend, right? And that would actually line up very nicely with, sorry, 1 second. If we got a fib pull, something like that. Obviously doesn't have to happen, but something to watch for if we do drop down towards 73.5, down towards 73.1. There is a nice 786, 886 fib pocket there. With our structure, we have our high, higher low. So again, there's a couple of reasons why I think we could pull back a little bit. It's just I don't really want to stand in front of the bulls right now is all. You know, I was debating taking a short here, but again, I was just a little gun shy. So yeah, I don't really want to FOMO into a short at this point when I feel like I already missed my good entry. Draw an inverse cup on the 1 minute. We might have different times. Do you mean from 12 UTC? Like from way back here? BTC by day, alts by night. You might be onto something there with that, just because, you know, actual, you know, investors, actual big market entities are actually playing during the days during office hours, right? Whereas at night, all the degens are into the altcoins. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. You're talking somewhere in here. 12 p.m. UTC right here. Yeah, exactly. BTC moves during the day. And then, especially, with altcoins, a lot of times they kind of wait until Bitcoin does its thing, right? If Bitcoin's going to pump and then it actually consolidates a little bit in a healthy manner, then altcoins are going to rip behind it, right? Because at that point, there's some confidence in the market. People are taking profits. They're getting a little riskier into higher risk assets, moving their profits around. Charlie Armer sounds like a good guy. I bet he's bullish right now. Yeah, you're talking a cup like, well, you're back to 12 and then basically to here, right? Something like that. That could be a real big cup. Lower sell signals still going strong. No point in catching along yet. What's Solana up to on the 1 minute? Also lower trending signals. So yeah, just not really interested in anything right now because I want things to start trending to the upside again because I am more interested in catching a long rather than a short right now. So I just really have to wait for things to start turning around. Yeah, you're talking something like, is anybody in any shorts? Curious if anyone was shorting up here. Another thing I would consider is depending how this structure goes, but if we keep setting these lower high signals, could also try and find something like this. But depending, right? If the price keeps going to the downside, then we just basically keep chasing it with the fib because the range would be getting a little bigger, right? Short SPY options out at close. You bought some puts on the SPY? Or are you actually shorting it on like a... like a crypto exchange like BangX or something. Had one short, but the stop loss was too tight. Yeah, that's something with these volatile times, right? It's hard to keep a proper stop loss if you're using too high of leverage in conditions like this. Unless you understand, I mean, you can use the same leverage, but probably downsize your position then, in my opinion, anyways, just because it's a lot more volatile than it looks. It's more volatile than we're used to. These ranges are a lot bigger than they look, right? So just be a little bit cautious with that. Puts on the SPY, DJT, and Tesla. Ooh, risky. I'd be a little, I'd be personally a little nervous. I mean, I guess it depends too. Are you more of a day trader when you're trading options, like get in, get out real quick, or are you looking at holding those for quite a while? So obviously everyone trades different time frames, right? Oh, you trade options instead of crypto? Yeah, and I mean, honestly, when it comes to volatility, options are, just as volatile, if not more volatile than crypto, right? So I get it. I've been kind of considering playing with options a little bit more. I have only traded options on test accounts. I have not actually done it with any actual money. I've mostly just trade crypto. Scalp premiums, nice. Yeah, I have a buddy who has a hedge fund, and he sells options more so, sells puts and sells calls. It's it's a lot less exciting, but it's a lot safer, right? He's always doing selling covered calls and covered puts. So he's like, if he's, looking at buying something anyways, may as well get paid a premium to buy the dip. Or same thing, if you're willing to take profits anyways, he's just looking at collecting a premium, holding the stock that he's comfortable holding, hoping that his take profits don't get hit so that he can just collect a premium instead of actually selling it, right? So that's another way to do options, I suppose. But yeah, that's better in a sideways market. Obviously, buying options, I mean, the volatility is crazy. You can make crazy percentages very fast. Yeah, this thing, I mean, really, there is the possibility this whole move pulls back. That's exactly why I don't want to catch the knife at this point. That must be from last night's stream or something. Just curious, if I bring this Fibonacci back on the 1 hour, if I hop over to the 1 minute, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah, pulled from this bottom back here. So yeah, I mean, there's absolutely the possibility we drop all the way down to like 73.5. I don't know. Like, obviously it depends if all of a sudden we start changing the structure, we start breaking lower highs again, then yeah, sure, we might end up just trending to the upside again. But I mean, if this trend of lower lows and lower highs continues, and we keep printing lower sell signals, then yeah, absolutely, we could just keep pushing down here. I'm just going to chase the immediate trend. This is very micro analyzing, I understand, but it is what it is. We've seen our low set a slightly lower low. There was our lower high, another lower low, lower high. So that's why my yellow resistance is there. Oop. But so far we've just been setting a series of lower lows and lower highs, even on the 1 minute. If we end up breaking this lower high structure and then seeing some sort of a pullback, I would consider trying to long a Stuber fib again, something like that, hoping for a reversal off that. But again, I would be starting to take profits very quickly, just because it's volatile times. I think it's important to protect yourself at times like this. As soon as I can start downsizing my position when I'm hitting targets, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Remember, my gut was right with that beautiful short entry that I considered. Yeah, I mean, and again, that just goes to show that this indicator, it freaking nailed that, right? Like I said, basically all through the afternoon here, we just had a series of higher trending buy signals and higher trending sell signals. And when that reversed, we got that warning, the lower sell, and then we started printing, lower buys, lower sells. So yeah, I made a mistake by going with the, well, actually, I wouldn't even call it a mistake. Honestly, the fact that we were just setting higher highs and confirming those higher lows, I mean, that was such a nice tight invalidation anyways. I don't regret that at all. But honestly, I should have taken just even a little bit of a hedge on the 1 minute. Oh, it looks like we got some buy volume stepping back in. I'd consider starting to ladder in. But yeah, I should have taken the indicator more serious there, because that's why I love looking at this for, those potential shifts, right? It's a very nice early warning. I just didn't listen to it because I was stubborn. But you know what? I'm human. My emotions get the best of me sometimes too. If you guys do appreciate these live streams, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Financial Summit, if you enjoy catching my streams. And as well, there's obviously a handful of very talented traders on this channel. So yeah, definitely do yourselves a favor. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel as well. I have my own socials down below in the description. And if you do want to give these indicators a shot, just kind of showing how I'm looking at them here, and how I should have used it as an entry there apparently. But again, I just didn't really want to fight against the bulls there. But this indicator absolutely nailed it by switching the direction of this trend here. If those are something that you want to give a shot, there is an additional 10% on discount on checkout if you use the link down below in the description. I've been using these indicators for 2 years now, just over 2 years. But they're constantly being upgraded. There's constantly new indicators being added to the package. A whole handful of them here. I just keep my trading very simple, as mentioned earlier. So there's just kind of a few of the indicators that I like to use. Just come up with my own strategies with here. Yeah, do the bulls end up stepping in here? It is nice to see that we do have some buy volume coming in. Still risky because there's a bit of a downtrend here, but starting to see some indicators looking a little bit bottomy. Not pulling the trigger quite yet. Because really, I mean, again, I know it seems like micro analyzing, but look how perfect that lower high structure was respected, right? And now that we've actually set a new lower low here, we haven't actually changed the lower high because this one has just tested it so perfectly that unfortunately that structure didn't change. Can't tighten it up. It takes big ones to short all-time highs, so don't beat yourself up. That's very true. You know what? Yeah, it's not the end of the world to sit out sometimes. I don't really want to fight against the bulls as we're trading into all-time highs for a day here, but at the same time, I don't want to catch a knife with leverage until I see some sort of a structure break. I would consider starting to ladder in a small one and just kind of like having a position, not to be confused with doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, but you know, taking a position and you know cutting it into about 10 and just starting to ladder in very small and just kind of adding to it as we confirm. Just because we have this buy volume, I'm really tempted to start a real small one. Someone was saying we were going to drop down to 71. Who was that? Nice call there. Did you catch it? Muhammad? Yeah. Five-min, as in look at the 5 minute. The 5 minute, the lower high is actually a little bit higher yet. Five-minute also has this sell signal, but I don't know how serious I want to take that on the 5 minute because again, it's a higher trending sell signal, right? If anything, I'd rather see a higher buy signal come in the next few hours. Just having that sort of confirming the trend, that would be beautiful. So here, again, very micro analyzing, but we have now just slightly broke that low. So as far as the micro trend goes, I am going to drop this. Like I said, guys, earlier, you know, I just don't want to catch a knife right now because even the 1 minute can't break a lower high right now. When it does, I'm going to start building a little bit of a long just in case it does do a full on reversal here. Like if we end up closing above this, I'm going to ladder in a bit of a position, and it's going to have a very tight invalidation, but not until we get that structure close. Yeah, nice if you caught that short. Well done. Just not as interested in the shorts. The algo is slow and older. If the algo is slow, it's probably because I have these printing as slow as possible. You can actually adjust the sensitivity on a lot of these settings. These are very customizable indicators. So, but I don't like when I'm looking at the 1 minute and there's buy and sell signals everywhere. I don't really like having a whole bunch of clutter on my screen, right? Couldn't close that candle up there, hey? Let's start a little. I don't know about BlackBox. I personally haven't used it. I know some other guys on the channel talk about that quite often. It's not something I'm familiar with. That's more Tone and Matt, I believe. Yeah, I agree. If anything, I think the 4 hour and the daily are just cooling down a bit. Like I showed on the daily back here. I mean, it makes total sense after a breakout like that. I mean, that candle close is beautiful. No matter how you look at it, the fact it's not just a liquidity grab wick above, since it is actually a close above. I mean, Bitcoin's in a very nice place. But again, markets obviously move both directions, right? So it's going to have its little cool down periods. But so far, so good with that structure. Weekly is green 7, so it has 2 or 3 more weeks before a bigger pullback. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like there's going to be some hype around for a little while. I feel like, you know, if there was going to be a big sell the news event around the election, I just don't think that's all that likely. I think it makes sense that we have an excited market for quite some time now. So I think the pullbacks will be very short-lived. Sell or buy? That's a loaded question because everyone has different risk tolerances. Everyone has different ideas on the market. Like I did sell some of my spot at 69K back in June when I saw some warning signs on the weekly chart. But that being said, I mean, I was very vocally bullish on my channel. Basically, as we had the FTX collapse, I had mentioned that, you know, I thought people were panic pulling off all their crypto off exchanges, and that was going to lighten up on the sell pressure. We were going to end up getting some sort of a long squeeze. So, I mean, I was buying way down here, basically between 18 and 25K kind of a thing. So, I mean, yeah, I was totally fine to be selling some up at 69K, right? I have no regrets about that. But everyone's different, right? There's some people who are just heavily buying into basically into this resistance that we're now, you know, breaking out of, which is, it's always great to catch a nice, it's nice to catch a breakout play, but depending on risk tolerance and where people got into their positions, if it's spot or leverage, you know, there's so many factors at play. But I think the market looks great. I mean, I personally think that it's going to continue. Like I said, unless we drop this daily support box down around that 60, what did I say, 66.8K, we drop that. Yeah, I'm going to have some concerns that we drop a little bit lower. But honestly, at that point, even if we ended up dropping all the way down towards 55, 52, in my opinion, that would still be a healthy retest, just of a much bigger range. And a lot of people wouldn't want to see that. But I think that would still be very healthy as far as basic structure goes, because again, we did take out this high, right? We have our higher high. It's just that now our confirmed higher low is still way down at 49K. So even if things are bullish, if we do retrace to test support and test a higher low way down here, I mean, it would still be very healthy. It would just be a little bit scary to a lot of people, right? Yeah, exactly. People who are hodlers, I mean, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me that we break all-time highs and then we just end up stopping the next day, you know, with a confident breakout on the daily like that. I just think it makes a lot of sense that if anything, we just pull back, test old resistance as support, Worst case scenario, testing the higher low on the current trend. But either way, I think Bitcoin's in a beautiful place now. I'm sure just not as excited to short it as I once was. There's a lot of momentum here. That's a big green daily candle. I mean, that's a big one. To see us pull back into this candle, I mean, even a pull in halfway, that would basically be perfect with this old resistance box here. I think it just makes way too much sense that we just do pull back a little bit and then carry on. I would love to see our RSI go into overbought territory, actually. I know a lot of people misunderstand the RSI. It's called the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. If we're in an uptrend and we're in overbought territory, that just means there's a shit ton of buying pressure. Yes, if we're in a strong downtrend and we hit that overbought conditions, then yeah, I would actually consider it overbought. But when we're in a nice uptrend like this, I would love nothing more than to see the RSI climb up above that 70 level, especially on the longer time frames, right? I mean, when we look at the daily chart, that's really when things go parabolic. I mean, where did we go last market cycle when the RSI ended up breaking that overbought conditions kind of thing? Let's say even here, that's even a little bit late to the party here, but just look at what the price action does when the RSI on the weekly gets into that territory, right? It's not overbought. There's just a ton of buying pressure there. There's a lot of strength, right? So on the daily chart, I would love to see the same relatively soon. If we can break up into that. At that point, I won't really be concerned until, let's say, we see the RSI do something like this with a big bearish divergence like that. At that point, I would have some concerns. But the RSI just going up into these levels, just that alone, I mean, that does not show weakness to me. So I'd really like to see that relatively soon. Hopefully in the next couple of days here. That would be great to see. Again, just zooming in a little bit further. Basically, we lose that red support box, old resistance, new support, lines up with this higher low on the 4 hour. So again, if we end up losing that, I just think it makes a lot of sense that we test down into that daily box I was just talking about. But so far, I mean, if we just pull back into this box and start finding support, see some bullish divergences, something like that, I think that there would be some great long opportunities in that case. RSI, the really stupid indicator. It's just noisy. Bollinger Bands are where it's at. See, I really like the RSI. It's the only other indicator I use other than the MDX ALGO indicators. But I only really look at those very specific divergences on the RSI. Other than that, I'm not overly interested in it. Like here, for example, you know, when we end up losing a support level and we end up losing that overbought conditions, yeah, when we come back into regular territory, yeah, we ended up forming a little downtrend for a little bit there. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of the divergence I look for, right? I like to see it go from overextended back into normal territory. I like seeing those divergences. But other than that, I don't really care what the RSI is, what levels it's at on its own. That's just me personally. But I do consider breakouts too with trend lines, you know, same as with my regular trend lines, like on price candles and that sort of thing. I still like to see exact touch points, right? That's why I have this trend line down here. So yeah, when we ended up breaking this, that was an early warning sign that, hey, the trend's going to continue to the upside. My only concern with that was there is still absolutely the possibility we would end up come back and retest that. If that happened in some sort of a black swan event, then yeah, you know, I don't know how low the price would go in that case. We saw the same thing during our COVID crash. Oops, down here. Oh boy, whoops. Notice that the RSI, we had kind of the same thing, right? We had formed this little range. We ended up getting a weekly sell signal. We did break that RSI trend line, but we came back and retested it, and that came back very aggressively. Notice what it filled though, 786,886 fib pocket, and then just parabolic from there. Yes, that was a black swan event, and that's why I'm saying same thing here, right? I'm not really expecting that unless there's some sort of a weird black swan event. Wars escalate, election gets reversed, you know, something spooks the market, and we end up pulling back down to this RSI trend line. Then yeah, the price could absolutely be at very low levels at that point. But that's not something I'm really expecting at this point. Yeah, exactly. The COVID crash is a bit of an anomaly. Yeah, want to see momentum to break 100K rather than pumping hard into 100K and seeing the major psychological resistance. Absolutely. Very big round number. It's been awaited since last market cycle. People were already talking about it being promised. You know, I'm open to the idea that it's very possible that that 100K is seen as a very psychological resistance level. And yes, maybe that does end up reversing the market very aggressively. But there's also the opportunity that there's going to be a lot of retail expecting that and trying to short the shit out of it. And if there's enough liquidity there, I mean, we might just end up getting some sort of a short squeeze, if that's the game the market makers want to play. So we're going to have to see when we get to those levels. Yeah, if we start seeing lower time frame structure breaks when we get near that level, yeah, I'll be considering some tight stop loss short setups as well, just in case it turns into a massive reversal. But you know, that's a long ways between now and then. Well, maybe. I guess I have no idea. It could happen tomorrow, technically. Don't I get tired speaking this much? Yeah. But I was told I was boring, so I have to talk, right? Just kidding. Let's switch up the tunes here a little bit. Yeah, this started a little long. I'm willing to ladder in something here. Just a little guy that I'm gonna build on if the indicators do reverse. Really just looking for tight invalidation, just because if we end up holding this this break in structure here. Oh, thanks. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? I love looking at 1 minute charts. And I also think that, you know, it's the best case to look at live structure and indicator signals and that sort of thing. I know not everybody likes trading the 1 minute. Honestly, most people shouldn't trade the 1 minute. I like knowing very quickly within a few minutes, basically, if I'm going to lose money or make money. But yeah, it's just good. It's a lot more entertaining watching the 1 minute than a 4 hour, for example, right? So, but yeah, I love looking at shorter time frames. Obviously, it's important to keep an eye on the larger time frames, know your important levels, anything to watch out for on the bigger time frames. But yeah, I like zooming right in. even when looking at trend lines, you know, like let's say on the, actually, let's do it for Solana just because it's kind of a fresh set of eyes here. You know, something that I would consider as well looking for setup is, even if I am looking at trading something on a 4-hour like this, if I did want to take this breakout trade, but I'm looking for that retest down here, that's where I have a trend line on the 4-hour. I can add an alert to it. Go every minute. Solana 4-hour RS flip. So my phone will let me know every minute if we end up touching that level. And from there, I can see what the price is doing on the 1 minute, for example, to really zoom in. So even if it's a longer time frame, just really trying to get more of a pinpoint accurate entry, right? Because I don't really like setting blind orders for the most part. With Stuber fib setups, sometimes I will, because they're actually very structured. As far as, stop loss being just past my 115 and stuff like that. I have very clear invalidation levels. So from that, it's easier to walk away. But when looking at structure, and especially on the 1 minute, structure is changing very quickly, right? So oh, perfect. So far, so good. So even though we got a buy signal here, something to consider, it is a lower buy signal, right? I do like that we had some buy volume come in before getting that buy signal. I do like to see that. But yeah, really, to be confident in this trend again, I would really like to see us, end up breaking. Obviously, this would take a little bit of a pump, but to set a higher sell signal followed by a higher buy signal, at that point, I would be looking to add to my position if we get something like that, because it would just be confirming that the trend may be shifting. Just had a quick eyeball on Solana here. I think a Stuber fib would have played out here already if you were looking for some sort of a scalp. Sorry, I know this is hindsight, but I mean, obviously, the more you see it, the more you see it, right? So just looking at that, looking from where we printed this lower low signal with my auto charting tools indicator here, pulling a fib from that level, we end up testing that 786 absolutely perfectly. The 214 target was obviously hit. So yes, that's a bit of Captain Hindsight. I just saw it with an eyeball glance and I figured I would mention it. But yeah, that's why I love those 786 fibs so much. That's why I'm always talking about them, because I just find that they get respected on that first test so much. Retail isn't crazy long yet either, which is actually fairly shocking as we pump into all-time highs. I mean, retail seems to actually be fairly heavily trying to short. A lot of disbelief, I suppose. Obviously, still the majority is long, but man, so often these numbers are way up at, 70%, 80%. So to see it down at 60%, top traders on Binance are also long heavy. So yeah, I personally think there's more fuel to the upside. It just might be a little bit of a bumpy road. Solana has been, moving beautifully in general. It's been a very good performer this whole market cycle. So, yeah, that could be a good one to be looking for scalps on. Has that sell signal still has lower high structure on the 5-minute chart here. So there is still some resistance there, but again, kind of looking for things to reverse, start seeing higher printing buy and sell signals. Had a guy got right at the 786. This could easily be a risk-free trade at this point, but again, this is just looking at it as hindsight, so not very effective right now. This right now, you know what? I'm in an 11% profit, 11.6% profit on this trade already. I'm just gonna close half of it because honestly, I do want to see those trending signals. I do want to end up seeing a higher sell and a higher buy signal because I already learned my lesson, right? I was fighting against this trend earlier and I ended up taking a small loss. So I'm just downsizing my risk again a little bit. Pay for my fees, reduce the risk a little bit. But I do want to add to this. If we end up continuing to break structure and stuff just like this, if I get into a position here where we continue staircasing higher from here, because now we've set a higher high, I can actually bump my stop loss up to break even on the rest of the position now because I've confirmed a higher high. This is now the lowest point between the two. Just to play it safe, I'm bumping up the rest of my stop loss to break even because I'm playing it for what it is, right? This is 1 minute structure. The fact that might just be a liquidity grab, it could be a sign of weakness. I just want to play it safe. At that point, I've at least paid my fees and then broke even on the rest. So at least gonna make a couple percent on it, worst case scenario. I assume everybody in here, obviously I have no idea what everybody's background is, how long you've been trading or anything, but does that kind of make sense how I'm looking at the structure here on the 1 minute, just for this very immediate trend and for playing it safe? I'm just basically, you know what, we broke some structure here. If we lose this high or low structure here, I just lose faith in my position and I just want the rest to be closed basically. And at that point, I'm just waiting for further confirmations, right? If we can end up doing something like this, then we would have a new higher high and a new higher low, and then I can bump up my stop loss again, right? That's how I like to catch a running position when I'm entering as a scalp. So very quickly I got rid of my risk on this trade, but if it keeps staircasing higher, then I want to just continue chasing the price with my stop loss, just to make sure I do pay myself on this position, right? Oh, I appreciate that. Pleasant stream, music, technicals. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the feedback. Honestly, even the negative, it's always good to get constructive criticism as well. But yeah, thank you so much for that. I do have my socials down in the description as well. I have my own YouTube channel, StuTubeTrading, all one word. And I also have a Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, I keep my trading very, very simple structure, and I look for trending signals in my indicators. Basically, I keep it very simple, but I love looking at the 1 minute. I love micro analyzing. I love looking at these very short structure breaks. Like now, if we can wick above this, so this is the range we're currently in, right? Between my yellow lines here, basically. We end up breaking below, getting stopped out on the rest. If we end up breaking above this, now I can raise my higher low. Do I think this cycle will be alts into BTC instead of BTC into alts? I don't know. Bitcoin don't. Okay, so this is actually a very, very, sorry to get sidetracked here, but we have technically got above this, even though it's just a wick. I am just moving things up here. So I am going to just bump up my stop loss a little bit to just below basically 75,244. So again, just tightening things up again, right? Because just making sure I pay myself on this position. If there's any market makers in here, if you want to grab my liquidity, hopefully not. But yeah, just chasing the price, chasing the structure, the very immediate trend, micro analyzing, but I'm scalping the 1 minute. So as far as just playing it safe, as soon as we lose that structure, you know, it's absolutely possible the downtrend takes over again. So sorry, before I got sidetracked there, do I think this cycle will be alts into BTC instead of BTC into alts? I don't know. Bitcoin dominance was fairly high recently. Oh, wow. On the 1 minute, that looks wild. Yeah, honestly, at this point, I almost feel like, oh, this is a 4-hour candle. So Bitcoin kind of did its thing. It blew up, and Bitcoin dominance has been dropping off a cliff. So yeah, I mean, I haven't even really looked at much. Just a second. I just on my other device here. I just want to bring up a list of a bunch that I'm watching. A lot of pullbacks, but a lot of alts are doing pretty good yet. That's the thing. Like when Bitcoin ends up flying to the upside, and then it calms down, that's when, generally speaking, altcoins like to really take off. But the fact that, you know, if Bitcoin, it did kind of lose this range that it had. So in that case, yeah, maybe if Bitcoin is going to continue selling off here, then maybe the alts do get spooked a little bit. Oh, actually, one of you guys going to take me out. But yeah, honestly, if we end up dropping, hitting my stop loss here, I don't care, because I'm losing confidence in my position if we're losing this structure here. And it's absolutely possible that we just do something like this, but I'm just not comfortable holding something on the 1 minute, expecting some sort of a home run trade, right? So I'd rather just, I would rather just protect myself rather than taking another unnecessary loss. But it does look like it's going to get stopped out. The fact that we dropped this yellow support here, I assume it's going to get stopped out any second here. But that's fine, because I updated stop loss It's in a profit anyways. It's a small one, but we'll see. Or was it perfectly placed? We'll find out. If we end up breaking above this now that we have actually we've lost this higher low trajectory. If we can break back above this, then I mean, that's just showing a lot of strength. Had I not already closed half my position, I would probably be doing it right now, honestly. We just tested a mini Stuber fib just to show you a live example of how those happen. I mean, it would be such a small play, right? Because the target is just down here. But just understand that how often that happens, right? We break some structure here, we pull back to that 786, and there's just, yes, I know it's a very small example, but just a perfect example of how often that you do get those reactions from those levels, right? Once you start to see them, you start to see them everywhere. Some blind short sells at 77K, a small gamble for a night you're willing to take. And I mean, yeah, to each their own, right? If that's a gamble you're willing to take, then absolutely. So you never quite got into your entries yet. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as long as you either understand that you have a stop loss in place and you're comfortable with the loss you take if you're wrong, because that's honestly the most important thing, right? The most important thing when it comes to trading basically is understanding what's the worst case scenario if you end up being wrong on your position, right? If you're not willing to accept that you could be wrong, then you're in a dangerous place, in my opinion. Any trade I take, I always just assume, you know what, I'm going to be wrong. Here's how much I'm going to lose. I'm okay with that. Let's roll the dice. That's more so how I look at trading. So either having a stop loss in mind in place, or if a stop loss isn't your jam, then at least some sort of risk management on position sizing. You have an understanding of, hey, I'm only putting X amount of dollars on an isolated leverage type of position. So you know exactly how much you're going to lose if you get liquidated. Then that's also, I mean, I personally like stop losses instead, but I at least understand that. But it's the people who have no risk management and go way too heavy and don't use stop losses because they're sick of getting wicked out to the dollar. That's where it gets very dangerous. Trading should never be considered gambling. They are two different mindsets. I mean, I get it, but like, as far as just a way of describing it, I mean, just assuming you're I totally get where he's coming from. Yeah, small steps and calm. Exactly. The way I see it, and the way I always explain to people, if you're upset when you lose a trade, you're trading with too much money. That's all there is to it. Yeah, you know what? I actually will close another quarter of my position here. 15% profit. Again, just to downsize my risk and to make sure I pay myself a little bit. I don't mind closing, like, basically any position I take. I am usually closing, well, the first half to, or a quarter to a half, I do close very quickly. even after that, even the third quarter, you know, sometimes I end up closing that relatively quickly too, because I can always add to this position if I get later confirmations that, hey, we are trending to the upside again, right? Or more aggressively. The fact that we ended up breaking this structure I talked about with that Stuber fib setup that I had mentioned, the fact that we did that and we did not break above this range, like I was talking about wanting to see as far as strength goes. So yeah, I do absolutely see a weakness here. So I have no problem, you know, the fact that I just took another quarter at 15%. I don't mind that. That's totally fine. If I get stopped out on the rest down here, I'm totally fine with that too. Then I just have to find a new position later. But you know what? It's a winning position no matter what. So I'm not looking for home runs when I'm trading the 1 minute, right? And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people struggle with trading the shorter time frames, and why most people shouldn't trade the shorter time frames, because a lot of people are entering positions on the 1 minute and expecting the type of move that you get on a 1 hour or a 4 hour chart, and that's just not realistic. That's why I'm updating my stop loss with market structure, right? I mean, if we set another lower low here, yeah, I'm well, and we are. I'm totally fine. There we go. Boom. Rest of my position has been closed. Took a little bit of a profit on that position. I'm totally okay with that. Even if we bounce from here, you know what? If we end up breaking above this channel now, then I can look for a retrace again, right? I'll look for a new Stuber fib pull. If I don't get it, oh, it looks like we do have some strength. If we don't get that fib pullback, like if we set a higher high here, then that's where I'm going to start looking for another Stuber fib pullback. If we don't get it, then again, eventually the indicators are going to flip the trend where we get a higher sell, a higher buy. If we are going to start trending to the upside, I can always re-enter later. That's fine. Oh man, I haven't looked at gold in such a long time. What even is the ticker for gold again? Isn't it AU? Just goes to show how much I look at it. Looking at the 4 hour. Oh, wow. That's a nice sell. Down to 26.50. Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. That's dropping quick. Where could we expect to find support here? Just looking at naked structure here, I would like to see some sort of a bounce at something like this. You know, we're getting close to, well, basically starting to test support now. So yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful move there. I mean, that actually looks more like a head and shoulders to me. A little bit. I don't know. I'd have a trend line, something like that. Because again, I like having 3 exact touch points, and we do have 3 exact touch points followed by a breakdown, retest. Absolutely beautiful setup there. But yeah, honestly, I don't follow gold very much. That was a beautiful, beautiful setup there. Beautiful trend line, beautiful retest. Everything about that was a nice short setup. I am curious to see, like, I've never looked at Stuber fibs on gold, for example, because obviously I just don't even look at gold usually. But very curious to see if that ends up holding as a nice support zone. Honestly, not loving that it ended up dropping that higher low support, right? On the daily chart, same thing, just basic market structure, right? High, higher low. We drop that, nuke right straight back down to the Stuber fib. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense why that would have happened. As soon as we lost that level, it was straight down shot. Honestly, I should probably pay attention to it more. What size of moves are those? Oh yeah, it's still getting a few percent there. It's a little leverage. Pretty sure you can trade it on BangX and some other exchanges. I really want to get an options account set up here. Then I can start looking at more stocks and stuff with you guys as well. I think it would be a lot of fun. Another Head and Shoulders. What tunes am I listening to? Just some that are on the streaming service here. Here, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's go with Epic. What's Epic gonna give us? Should have booked good pips. Yeah, it's hard. I got 3 monitors on the go here, so I don't always see all the messages in real time. Got a lot to scroll back through. Telling me it's the same algorithms with the Head and Shoulders. Ooh, notice another lower sell signal. Don't love to see that on Bitcoin, but you know what? That just basically confirms that I'm totally okay that I closed the rest of my position there, took profits on the rest of it, because there's a chance this downtrend's just going to continue into the evening, right? So just to protect myself, I'm glad I did that. I'm trading the 1 minute with high leverage. It's okay to be a little bit cautious. Oh yeah, there's tons of money to be made in options. It's just kind of caught my attention more recently, just talking about, just looking at some stock charts with some friends and family and stuff like that. It just kind of got me more interested because some of them have just played out like some of the Stuber fib setups I've seen, both the put and the call side of things. It just seems like it could be very easy money on options. So I wouldn't mind giving it a shot, but I'm just going to decide where I want to make an account. A few different options. But yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun to start watching stocks and shit too. $8K off 800, nice. 10x, nothing wrong with that. Very curious to see if gold, look at that, it got so close to my 786 there. Actually, it may have even touched because I really zoom in. Pretty darn close. Beautiful test. So now to see what I would really like to see gold do now, if you're bullish on gold anyways. Again, I'm not trading it. but just something that I would like to see on it if I was looking to trade it to the upside. Would love to see it break this this lower high resistance, right? Again, micro analyzing, but this is on the 4 hour and just for the very immediate trend, right? Even if it breaks that level and then pulls back, that would be totally normal. Get something like that. So, I mean, it's kind of catching the knife, looking at longing this kind of a setup. But I mean, yeah, we are starting to get to support. At least, you know, it would make a lot of sense. That was a very violent move to the downside. I mean, it was just a straight shot. So, yeah, it would make sense to find some support eventually here. But yeah, if you wanted to wait for confirmations, I would like to see a structure break, even if it's on the shorter time frames, right? Some sort of a structure break. Like here, like this high, we did actually break this high, but then notice we set a higher high, and then we lost that trend as well, and then ended up continuing to the downside to that longer time frame, 786. So yeah, I mean, maybe we see some life here soon. Be really nice to see something like this where that forms, you know, we end up taking another deeper dive and then break it, something like that, and then get a nice retest. That could be a nice long opportunity as well. Oh, Bitcoin is running up, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's our higher buy signal. Don't have a higher sell yet. Unfortunately, I wasn't. Well, either way, it kind of got away from there anyways. I'd rather wait for some sort of a retest. But yeah, I think I'm interested in starting to ladder in some longs again. Starting to see a little bit of buy volume coming in too. Start laddering in another little one. Just kind of laddering in some small positions as we get closer to my buy trend here. Or I won't get that and I'm just going to get my one entry. Either or. Oops. Seeing some buy volume come in. I mean, I could have a very tight stop loss if I wanted to go just off structure. Just because since we have that high and higher high, I mean, technically, if we lose this, we could be losing this trend again. But I'd rather actually ladder in towards my buy trend. Just because this is a warning that things might be reversing, right? OG alts are taking off. Like Ethereum, for example. Just looking through my list a little bit here. I know Crow is making moves today. Well, actually, a lot of things were making moves today. Tesla and MicroStrategy making moves as far as stocks go. How is ETH looking? Oh boy, we should have been watching ETH. So I guess that goes with that whole Bitcoin dominance drop situation happening I was mentioning before, as altcoins are ripping. Wow, that was beautiful. Why weren't we watching Ethereum on the 1 minute? Beautiful buy trend there. Wow. Now that Bitcoin's made its moves, and I feel like Ethereum is so far behind. I mean, look how far away Ethereum is from all-time highs yet. I mean, I feel like that might be the move starting to... Actually, something I want to check out. Let's check out ETH versus Bitcoin, and yeah, look at that breakout. Yeah, you know what? It might be worth starting to watch Ethereum rather than Bitcoin, looking for those long setups. Because, man, that is nice. And I mean, the fact that Bitcoin's also doing well and Ethereum is just pumping that hard compared to Bitcoin, that is beautiful. Who the F is this? I'm StuTubeTrading. Welcome. Tone and Matt usually do the early streams. They do the morning show. There's actually a handful of other traders who do streams randomly on this channel as well. And I'm one of them. I am the degenerate who loves looking at 1 minute charts. That's who I am. Set a new higher high, got a new higher low on this immediate trend. Just gonna leave things go for now. But yeah, how are you all doing? How are you all doing this fine evening? How is everyone feeling on the market? Boom, this is beautiful. I'm actually gonna bump up my stop loss into a small profit again. Just because, again, I would rather just protect myself more than anything. But this long is, well, I'm glad I started laddering in. It's too bad I only got my first order and I never got any in closer to this buy trend here. But it is what it is. What am I sitting at here? So I'm actually sitting at a 41.5% profit right now. I am going to close 20% of this position. and stop loss is in a small profit. I have nothing to worry about again. Just like last time, right? Just bumping up my stop loss quickly, starting to downsize my position quickly, reducing risk, making sure I pay my fees, pay myself a little bit. And if the rest turns into a running position, fantastic. Actually, my stop loss is, I'm going to change it right to break even. Since I paid myself a little bit already, if the rest gets stopped out at break even, I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, just playing it very safe on the 1 minute, very quick to update my positions. Because again, I'm not looking for the type of move we get on the hourly or the 4 hourly or anything like that. It's a 1 minute, you know, within 5 to 10 minutes, it's totally normal to be starting to downsize my positions when I'm scalping like this. So yeah, this has been an absolutely beautiful move already. So why not? But yeah, this just goes to show, guys, you know, like I was talking about, just like how I missed my opportunity here for a short, just when these buy and sell signals shifted directions, right? All afternoon, we had these higher trending sell signals, higher trending buy signals. We ended up printing lower sell signals. That was a warning sign. And even though I ignored it that time, unfortunately missed that short. Now we end up reversing once again, right? We could print higher buy signals, and as well, we see some buy volume coming in on the bands down here, which is, yeah, that led me to take a bit of a position. And yes, I was trying to ladder in closer to the buy signal. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And maybe that's all the profits I get out of this one. Totally fine. Either way, indicator also printed a take profit one. So again, glad that I closed 20% up there. It is what it is at this point. We'll see what happens. But yeah, just how I like to use those trending signals just to kind of help choose a direction, if nothing else, right? And just look for those early warning signs, look for those confirmations that the trend is reversing. So that's how I love to use that indicator. It's not so much that I take any buy signal or any sell signal, but I love looking at which way they're trending to help pick which way I start looking for those trade setups, right? So if that is something that interests you, there is a 10% discount using the link down below on the dashboard checkout on top of current MDX ALGO promotions. So if that is something that interests you, check that out at the link down below. I've been using these indicators for over 2 years now. They're constantly doing updates. They're taking community advice. They are constantly adding other indicators to the arsenal here. Very cool stuff. Every trader has their own strategies and their own indicators that they like to use. This is just one strategy that I've come up with this ALGO master indicator that I love using. But guys, actually, let's just see if we end up finding support here. I've been on here for what, almost 2 hours, or over an hour anyways. Yeah, 2 hours, I think, over 2 hours. So I am going to wrap this up pretty soon, but I just want to see if we end up getting some sort of a bounce here, or if the rest of my long ends up getting stopped out here, in which case I'm just going to be looking for new entries to the long side as well, as long as these signals keep trending to the upside, basically. But yeah, it's kind of treating everything the same, right? As long as we're holding structure to the upside, I'm going to be bumping up stop losses following the structure, because when I'm trading on the 1 minute, again, I'm not looking for those home runs. Yes, I'm hoping I hit one, but I'm not holding the whole position for a home run. I would rather start paying myself quickly, and from there hoping to catch a home run with, you know, the second half of my position or the last quarter or whatever it ends up being. But obviously doesn't always happen. 1 minute positions can come and go very quickly, so it is what it is. But if you have appreciated this stream so far, and again, I'm going to wait and see what happens here in the next few minutes, but if you have appreciated this stream, seeing how I'm looking at structure, how I'm using my indicators, how I'm just keeping a level head, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out my own YouTube channel. There's a link down below for my socials. Check that out. But yeah, I appreciate having you guys here with me. I love doing these streams with you guys. I like talking through my own emotions. Kind of helps me keep a level head. So I love doing these streams with you guys. So hopefully you appreciate what I'm doing here, and hopefully you like looking at 1 minute charts and just looking at the charts with people, because honestly, I like getting other people's opinions. I don't need to be in an echo chamber. I don't need you guys to agree with me or anything like that. I'm just showing what I'm doing, how I look at structure and that sort of thing. Bears are in hibernation. Yeah, I mean, I was vocally bearish for quite some time as we approach that 70K level. You know, that's the level I was looking at, tight invalidation swings. If we were going to smash through 70K, then I was willing to go into hibernation with my bearish theories. But you know, there was some very nice downward swing trades over the last 8 months. But I think that time has kind of come and gone. I think at this point, I think the Bears ran out of time. We had the election, uncertainty is gone. I think it's kind of a green light for the markets to trend quite nicely. And rest of the position was stopped at break even. So yeah, like I said, I ended up taking 20% off the position up here anyways. So still made a little bit of money on that and protected myself, because you know what? Who knows? Maybe this downtrend continues, but we end up printing a higher sell signal followed by a higher buy signal. I'm just going to be looking to get into more longs throughout the evening here, as long as I'm awake anyways. But yeah, that is, I guess, what, three live scalps this stream. So that was fun. That was fun, guys. So hopefully you appreciated it. Small wins, but wins nonetheless. Not near as big as the long that I caught yesterday. That was a beautiful trade that I caught yesterday. Hopefully some of you guys may have been in my stream yesterday. I had entered a long and then started a stream, and it just went straight up. Basically, it ended up quite well. So I was hoping to catch another one of those with this, but might have to wait a little bit. I still think the trend is good. I still like that we have these higher trending buy signals. I'm going to be looking to ladder into some new longs relatively soon here. But I am getting very hungry, so I am going to wrap up there, or I'm going to end up being on here for another half hour to an hour. And I think I've been here long enough, almost 2.5 hours here. So again, hopefully you guys appreciated it. Hopefully you took something useful out of it. Yeah, appreciate having all of you guys here. We'll do it again. I have to stream elsewhere tomorrow, but maybe even a Friday evening or a Saturday or something. Actually, I think I'm going to be out of town for a few days. Either way, I will be back probably early next week, if not in the next few days here. But yeah, with that, I think that's about all I wanted to go over this fine evening. Hopefully you guys are loving the recent volatility with Bitcoin. I know I am. It's very fun to be trading again. So a lot of opportunities up ahead here. But yeah, I think I'm going to start laddering into a new long again. But yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to go over. So hopefully you guys found this stream useful. If so, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.